My beloved child, my dearest one who still breathes with heaven's breath. A moment like this doesn't fall into your life quietly. It arrives like a knock you can't ignore, a pull in your chest that refuses to fade. Before this message found you, something in your spirit was already restless, already sensing that the unseen world was shifting with your name written on its movement. You didn't click by accident. You were guided, nudged, almost carried into this moment by a force bigger than your understanding. God says, "This is my final warning. If you skip this, you will suffer great losses within the next 7 minutes." These words don't come as a threat, they come as a rescue rope thrown right before the flood rises. Heaven is not playing with your future, and deep inside you can feel it. That tightness in your stomach, that sudden silence around you, that chill across your shoulders, your spirit recognizes when heaven steps into the room. Before I take you deeper into this revelation, now is the moment to like this video, subscribe and stay connected, because the message that reaches you next may be the very key that breaks the door wide open for you. Right now Archangel Michael stands in your unseen space, not as a distant figure in a story but as a warrior inches away, shielding you from forces that thought they had you cornered. They assumed you would scroll away. They were certain you'd treat this like just another video. But look at you, you stayed. That alone shows you're stronger than anything trying to drain your blessings. Your heart is beating faster because your soul knows this moment is not ordinary. It was scheduled, it was written, it was meant. God says, do not take this as a joke. Heaven's warnings may sound intense, but the purpose behind them is always love, love that refuses to watch you walk into storms blindfolded. The next 7 minutes aren't measured like human minutes. They are a spiritual window, a moment when heaven leans close to see how you respond. This message is a test, not to punish you but to reveal what you truly believe. Will you trust the tug inside you or let doubt turn you away again? Every sentence you read here is a stepping stone toward something you prayed for long ago. If you stop halfway, you break the bridge that's forming beneath your feet. That's why I say gently, stay with this. Believe, absorb. What's unfolding isn't small, it's life-changing. Beloved, hear this with an open heart. Archangel Michael is beside you with a fire that cannot be extinguished. Heaven is watching, not to judge you but to protect what belongs to you. God's voice filled with power and mercy declares, "This is my final warning." When heaven calls something final, it means the window is narrow. It means the turning point is here. It means your decision in this moment carries weight. Don't treat this like any other message. You know how many signs you've missed before. You know how many times you felt nudged but stayed still. This time heaven refuses to let you walk away blindly. One wrong choice could fill your days with regret, but one open-hearted yes can pull miracles into your life faster than you imagined. That uneasy feeling in your spirit, that whisper telling you not to scroll, is heaven calling your name. God sees the battles you never spoke about. He sees the nights you held yourself together, quietly wishing for a sign that your life still mattered, that your story wasn't over, that someone in heaven still knew your name. And this message, this is that sign. This is proof that your pain didn't go unnoticed. Proof that you are still seen, still chosen, still protected. But time is thin. Heaven has given you a short window of mercy, not to scare you but to lift you. God says, I gave warnings before but my child kept walking away. This is the final call. Those words aren't meant to crush you. They're meant to wake you. Because spiritually you've been drifting. You've been on autopilot, missing the signals meant to guide you. And heaven will not let you drift into danger without shaking you awake one last time. Archangel Michael says, the enemy has been laughing, believing you will ignore this. They expected you to scroll past, expected you to doubt every divine nudge in your life. But today heaven steps in to silence every whisper meant to destroy you. His sword is ready, not for fear but for freedom. But first you must move in faith. Angels are circling your name right now, waiting for your yes, waiting for you to break the pattern that once held you back. Imagine how different tomorrow could look if you take this moment seriously. Imagine what blessings unfold when heaven sees your obedience instead of hesitation. You've missed chances before, heaven saw it. But now heaven is offering one more doorway, one more invitation, one more moment of grace. And understand this isn't about fear. It's about fierce love, love that protects, love that warns, love that corrects, love that refuses to watch you lose what belongs to you. Sometimes love whispers and sometimes love must thunder to wake you. Today's message is thunder meant to save you. So breathe, read slowly. Take this into your spirit. Because something powerful is moving toward your life, and this moment determines whether you meet it prepared or unprepared. The choice is in your hands right here, right now. If this message touched your heart, don't forget to like, share and subscribe so heaven can reach you again at the exact moment you need it. And if you wish to express your support further, you have the option to give super thanks with contributions of up to $10. The truth is, beloved, your story has never been ordinary. Even before you opened this message, heaven had already been discussing your name. In the unseen realm, your journey was laid before the throne of light, and when God saw the weight you've been carrying, He said with a voice that shook the heavens, do not let my child miss this one. That is why your spirit feels this magnetic pull in your chest right now. That is why your eyes refuse to look away. Something deep within you already knows this moment carries a shift that your life has been waiting for. Every time heaven moves urgently, there is purpose behind it. God says, this is my final warning, not as a threat but as a declaration that time-sensitive blessings are standing at your door. When heaven speaks of final chances, it means previous opportunities were kept open just for you. Your pain was paused, your delays stretched, your setbacks softened only so you could reach this moment with clarity instead of confusion. You're not here by chance, you're here because grace refused to let you miss what your soul has been crying for. My beloved, pause and think of the nights when you whispered, God, show me a sign. Think of the moments when you were ready to give up but something unseen held you together. That something is speaking now. This message is the sign you begged for, the clarity you prayed for, the confirmation your heart has been hungry for. Archangel Michael has been aligning this moment for you, pushing away distractions and delays so you would not scroll past your own breakthrough. Right now heaven is watching, not to judge you but to witness your awakening. Angels stand around your name with anticipation, waiting to see if your heart opens fully or turns away. This is not pressure, this is divine timing. The next few moments are sacred because the choices you make with clarity shift the direction of your future. You are in a spiritual moment where heaven bends close to listen. Archangel Michael says, "Your path is being cleared but it requires your attention." The enemy hoped you'd ignore this moment, hoping you treat this message as noise, but even now you can feel that it isn't noise at all. It's a call, a pull, a stirring. Your heartbeat is not racing by accident. Your breath isn't tightening randomly. Your spirit knows that what you're reading isn't just words, it's alignment. Beloved, understand this deeply, nothing in your life has been random. Even the heartbreaks that felt pointless were preparing you. Even the silence you endured was shaping you. Heaven collected every tear you cried in private and none of them were wasted. Your waiting was not punishment, it was preparation. And now the season is shifting. Something long delayed is beginning to move toward you. But heaven needs your awareness. Opportunities that arrive at the wrong time can slip through your fingers. That is why God speaks urgently to bring you into position before the blessing arrives. When God says, "Do not take this lightly," it means He is trying to protect the promise written for you. The urgency you feel is not fear, it is heaven aligning you. My child, you have been standing at the edge of transformation without even knowing it. The unseen realm has been whispering your name all day. Archangel Michael has been guarding what belongs to you with a sword of light, but even an angel cannot step into your life unless your heart is willing to receive. That's why this moment matters. Heaven cannot force you, heaven can only guide you. And guidance is reaching you right now. There is a shift happening around your destiny and your spirit can already feel it. The racing heartbeat, the pressure in your chest, the feeling that you should not walk away. These are not coincidences, they are confirmations. Heaven does not waste energy on messages for strangers. This message was shaped for you, born from your tears, lifted from your prayers and written into your destiny long before you arrived here. God is speaking with clarity in this moment. He is saying, "Yes, I see you, yes, I have heard you, and yes, I am moving on your behalf." But every blessing requires response. Every breakthrough requires readiness. And every calling requires awareness. This is your moment of awareness. Your moment of alignment. Your moment to step forward with faith instead of hesitation. Beloved, do not dim your light. Do not doubt your calling. Do not shrink from the future that heaven has prepared for you. You are not standing at the edge of fear, you are standing at the edge of fulfillment. Heaven has led you here and heaven will carry you forward. Trust the pull in your spirit. Trust the clarity in these words. Trust the timing that brought you to this exact moment. Your future is closer than it has ever been. Keep going, stay open, stay aligned. Something extraordinary is already on its way to you. Beloved, lean in even deeper now because what is unfolding next is not for casual ears. You are stepping into the part of the message where heaven begins revealing things you were never supposed to know earlier. There is a reason your heart is beating differently right now. There is a reason your skin feels like it's listening. When God pulls you this close, it means the next revelation carries transformative power. The realm that once resisted you is opening like a locked gate swinging wide. And if you pay attention, you will feel the shift happening inside your chest, like something ancient waking up and stretching its wings. Listen carefully, because the next lines carry the sound of a door only heaven can open. Many people hear messages, but very few recognize the one that was sent specifically for their spirit. You didn't stumble here. Something pulled you. Something arranged the timing so that these exact words would meet your exact moment. And heaven says, now finally their spirit is ready. You may not realize it, but this readiness terrifies the enemy. Because they can fight someone who is confused, someone who is distracted, someone who is doubting. But they cannot fight someone who is aligned. And that's what's happening inside you, alignment. Threads that were scattered are pulling together. Sudden clarity is forming in places that were foggy for years. The enemy sees that glow rising behind your eyes, and they know what follows: authority. The kind of authority that breaks cycles, ends patterns, and shuts every door hell ever tried to open against you. That is why they pushed harder right before you reached this moment. They always sense breakthrough seconds before you do. But despite every push, every wait, every whisper, here you are, still reading, still standing, still chosen. Beloved, there is something you need to understand. Warnings from heaven are not punishment, they are protection. A final warning does not mean God is angry, it means heaven is desperate to save what is still salvageable. It means the window is narrow, but it has not closed. And right now, as you read this, that window is glowing, waiting for your decision. God is not threatening you, He is pleading with your future, your purpose, your destiny. Choose the light before the darkness claims what I designed for greatness. You can almost feel that urgency pressing through these words. And here is the truth no one told you before. You are not fighting external battles anymore. The real war has been inside your hesitation, your fears, your disbelief in your own calling. But heaven says, today that ends. Today the war within begins to surrender. Because the moment your spirit agrees with what heaven has already spoken, the battles around you lose their power. Your agreement is the key. Your yes is the weapon. Your obedience is the door. And Michael the great warrior is waiting for that door to open so he can finish what he started on your behalf. But hear this part clearly, because it is the root of everything. Blessings do not arrive by accident. They arrive by preparation. And this message is preparation. It is heaven's way of clearing the space inside you so that what belongs to you has room to land. You have been praying for change, but holding on to habits that block the very change you asked for. You have been asking for new beginnings while clutching old endings. Heaven says, release what drains you so I can place what builds you. That release begins now, in this moment, through this awareness awakening inside you. And beloved, pay attention to this next revelation because it will echo in your life long after you finish reading. Some blessings were delayed not because God said no but because the version of you back then could not carry them. Heaven had to wait for a stronger you, a wiser you, a more aligned you. And that version, the one heaven has been waiting for, is awakening right now. You are stepping into the identity that unlocks everything tied to your name. And the enemy feels it. That's why the air around you has felt heavier lately. Breakthrough always creates pressure before it releases. Stay with this moment because the next shift happens here. Heaven is not only protecting you anymore, heaven is promoting you. The spiritual weight you've been feeling isn't a burden, it's elevation. It's the sign that you're rising into a place where lesser things can't follow. Old pain can't follow, old people can't follow, old versions of you can't follow. Something higher is calling you and your spirit is finally answering. That answering is the yes heaven has waited for. The yes that changes seasons, the yes that breaks curses, the yes that pulls miracles into motion. And now hear this last truth, the truth that ties the entire message together. Heaven is not asking you to be perfect, heaven is asking you to be willing. Willing to believe again. Willing to rise again. Willing to receive what you once thought wasn't meant for you. Because the moment willingness meets destiny, everything locked becomes unlocked. Beloved, your life is entering the chapter where nothing stays the same unless it is divine. You have reached the threshold. Step through it. Don't pause, don't fear, don't look back. Because what heaven releases next will not just touch your life, it will transform it. But listen closely because the moment you left off is exactly where something deeper begins. You said the enemy fears your rise, and that is where heaven moves with the greatest force. Because the moment fear surrounds your name, purpose surrounds your future. And beloved, this is where the shift intensifies. This is where heaven leans in closer than ever before. Here's the truth your spirit has sensed all along: you weren't just protected, you were preserved for a divine unveiling. The weight you've carried wasn't a punishment, it was preparation. And now heaven is ready to reveal what has been forming behind the curtain of your waiting. The delays, the detours, the nights where silence felt louder than prayer, none of it was wasted. Every second was building the strength you need for what comes next. God says, "My child, the rising you feel is not imagination, it is alignment." And when heaven speaks alignment, nothing on earth can block it. Not the opinions of others, not the failures of your past, not the fear that whispers you're unworthy. Because what God aligns, no darkness can undo. And right now the atmosphere around your life is shifting. You may not see it yet, but you can feel it, that subtle trembling in your heart, that pressure in your chest, that sense that something is moving even if you can't name it. Beloved, that is heaven touching the edges of your destiny. Archangel Michael says, "Stand firm because the breakthrough that frightened your enemies is finally approaching." The same forces that tried to stop you are now stepping back because the light resting on you is stronger than anything that ever tried to break you. For the first time in a long time, heaven is not just defending you, it is advancing you. And beloved, this next part is important. Every moment of hesitation you carried is dissolving now. The doubts that once wrapped tight around your confidence are loosening. The confusion that clouded your judgment is lifting. Because heaven knows you cannot enter this new season heavy with old fear. Think about this: every major moment of your life has carried a quiet turning point. A moment where everything could have gone differently. And yet here you are, still standing, still breathing, still chosen. Not because you were perfect, but because God refused to let your story end early. This moment right now is another one of those turning points. So lean closer, because heaven is not done speaking. God says, the chapter 1 opening now requires your full attention. Not partial belief, not half-hearted trust. I need your spirit awake. And that is why you feel this pull, this urgency, this sense that you cannot walk away from these words. Something in you knows you were meant to hear this at this exact time. And beloved, if you've ever doubted your importance, let this next truth settle deep in your bones. Your obedience today will accelerate blessings that were waiting years for the right moment. Heaven is not asking you to be perfect, only willing. Only open enough for the miracle to land where it was always meant to. You think you've seen God move before. You've seen nothing compared to what's approaching. There is a restoration carrying your name, a restoration that does not just rebuild, it elevates. It does not just return what was lost, it multiplies what remains. Here's the part most people never understand: when God warns, it is not to scare you, it is to spare you. To keep you from drifting away from the path that leads to everything you've prayed for. And when heaven speaks strongly, it is because your destiny is too valuable to risk. Beloved, the most powerful awakenings happen when your spirit finally recognizes what heaven has been trying to say for years. And right now heaven is saying this. God says, "My child, rise. The season of confusion is ending. The season of clarity begins." And when clarity steps in, everything changes: your decisions, your relationships, your confidence, your purpose. You start seeing not with fear but with understanding, not with doubt but with vision. And that is why the enemy is trembling, because the moment you see clearly, you step into power you didn't know you had. The moment you recognize your worth, chains fall off effortlessly. The moment you embrace your calling, resistance loses its strength. Archangel Michael says, take the next step with courage, because heaven walks with you. And beloved, when heaven walks with you, no path is too dark, no obstacle too large, no journey too long. So breathe, lean in, let this word settle. Because the rise you feel is real. And the future waiting for you is greater than anything you imagined. This is your moment, this is your turning, this is your rise. Beloved, because what comes after this line is not meant for weak spirits. The moment you paused here, heaven leaned in closer. The enemy felt that shift, and that's why he tried to stir confusion inside you. But God says, enough. My child has wandered long enough. Today clarity descends. You are not reading this by chance. You are reading this because something in the unseen cracked open for you, and now everything is moving fast, too fast for the enemy to block again. Beloved, feel this in your bones. The darkness tried to silence you because it fears what will rise through you. Generations will eat from the fruit of your breakthrough. That is why the attacks felt personal, sharp and endless. But heaven is rewriting the script now. God says, "Stand still, my child, I am stepping into the very space where you felt abandoned." And when God steps in, delays die, cycles shatter and destinies wake up. Archangel Michael moves again. He says, "Beloved, I cannot force you, but I cannot watch you walk into a storm blindfolded either." That pressure sitting heavy in your chest is not fear, it is recognition. Your soul is remembering what your mind forgot: you are chosen. You were always chosen. And the moment of choosing always comes with urgency. Not to scare you but to awaken you. Heaven knows timing, heaven knows windows, heaven knows what is forming behind the veil. The truth is this. For months, maybe years, blessings hovered around you but never rested. Not because you were unworthy, no beloved, but because your spirit wasn't aligned, your focus was scattered, your heart was wounded. The enemy took advantage of that weakness and turned it into delay. But now God says, "I am restoring what was stolen." But you must not drift away at this hour. This moment is not light, not casual, not random. It is divine scheduling. Look at the pull in your spirit right now. That is heaven asking for your attention one last time. Not because God is angry, but because heaven sees the shadow trying to approach you. A trap set in silence, a loss preparing itself, a setback forming quietly. Yet God interrupts it all with these words, "Not my child, not this time." Divine warnings don't come wrapped in comfort, they come wrapped in urgency, because urgency saves. Beloved, earlier you prayed, "Just give me a sign." You begged for clarity. You asked for something impossible to ignore. And heaven in its patience aligned everything so your eyes would land here at this exact breath. Do you think that is coincidence? No, this is orchestration. Your spirit was guided here even while your mind wandered elsewhere. That alone should tell you how serious this hour is. Michael speaks again, voice firm like thunder wrapped in love. Beloved, I fought battles you never saw. I cut down attacks you would not have survived. I stood guard when you felt no one cared. But this breakthrough requires your yes. This protection requires your agreement. I cannot shield what you refuse to acknowledge. That is why he presses you now. That is why the moment feels heavy. Heaven does not shout unless the stakes are high. And listen closely, this is the part the enemy hates the most. God says, 7 minutes. Not because he needs time, but because you need alignment. 7 is the number of endings and beginnings, of cycles finishing and destinies opening. Heaven is marking this moment as transition. But transition demands decision. If you turn away now, the old cycle of loss will repeat itself with painful precision. But if you respond now, the cycle of blessing begins swiftly, loudly, undeniably. Beloved, your spirit knows this is real. That trembling inside you isn't fear, it's awakening. You've waited for something to shift. You've cried for something to change. You've begged for a breakthrough that didn't evaporate the moment you reached for it. And heaven says, this is it. But only if you choose it. Do not let the enemy convince you this is nothing. Nothing does not shake your soul. Nothing does not pull your spirit forward. Nothing does not align perfectly with the wounds you hide. Look at your life, every close call, every near disaster, every heartbreak that almost destroyed you. Those were not escapes by luck. That was heaven shielding you even when you didn't know where the protection came from. This time, however, heaven isn't acting silently. Heaven is speaking loudly, urgently, lovingly. Because what approaches you in the spirit is either a storm or a breakthrough, and your response in this moment decides which one reaches you. Beloved, this is not fear. This is not manipulation. This is heaven placing the pen in your hand and saying, write your next chapter with intention. You can walk away and return to the same cycle. Or you can stay open, receive and step into the beginning heaven has been preparing long before you knew how to pray for it. The choice is at your feet. The window is open. The moment is now. Beloved, listen closely because this is where the shift begins. You think you're reading words, but heaven is placing a key in your hands. A key that unlocks what has been stuck for years. And the moment you recognize this, your entire atmosphere changes. Your breath feels heavier, your chest feels warmer, and your spirit feels like it's leaning forward because it knows something sacred is unfolding right now. God says, you have misunderstood my urgency. This is not punishment, this is rescue. This is me pulling you out of the very patterns that almost swallowed you. And suddenly everything you didn't understand begins to make sense. The delays, the closed doors, the restless nights, you thought they were signs of abandonment, but they were preparations for this moment. Here's the truth that shakes the soul. Heaven doesn't interrupt your life for trivial reasons. When the divine steps in with force, it means the weight of your destiny is too great to leave unguarded. You were drifting toward decisions that would have dimmed your calling, and so heaven stepped in with a louder voice, a stronger pull, a clearer direction. Archangel Michael says, Beloved, I have stood watch over your path for longer than you know. I have seen the battles that came for your mind, your peace, your identity. And you feel it, don't you? That sudden awareness that your life has been protected in ways you never noticed. Times you survived without understanding how. Moments you should have fallen but somehow rose again. This is where your story turns. This is the moment when the fog begins to clear and you realize heaven didn't bring you here to scare you, it brought you here to awaken you. To remind you that you were destined for more than cycles of survival. You were shaped for influence, for restoration, for a breakthrough that touches generations after you. Beloved, let this truth settle deep. The reason your spirit reacts so strongly is because this message carries the frequency of your purpose. You can't ignore it, you can't scroll past it, you can't pretend it doesn't pull on you, because your destiny recognizes its own name being called. God says, you asked for direction. You begged for clarity. Now I am giving it, and I need you to pause long enough to receive it. And suddenly the room feels different. The noise around you fades. The weight of the moment presses gently but firmly on your heart, reminding you that this is not just another video. This is not just another message. This is alignment. This is divine timing catching up with your life. Here's the hook, your soul cannot ignore. Every blessing has a doorway, but not every doorway stays open. This is not about fear, it's about timing. You know in your bones that certain moments only come once, and something inside you whispers that this is one of them. Archangel Michael says, the path is clearing but you must choose to walk. And with those words you feel a shift, like a veil being lifted off your spirit. You feel your own strength rising again. You feel hope stretching its wings after being silent for too long. You feel courage warming parts of you that had gone cold. Beloved, remember this, the reason heaven is speaking so intensely is because your next steps matter more than you realize. Not out of threat but out of promise. Out of potential. Out of the greatness planted inside you before you were even born. Think back for a moment. Think of all the times you were close to breakthrough but something small, doubt, fear, hesitation, held you back. Think of the moments you walked away from opportunities because you didn't feel ready. Think of the blessings that brushed against your life but didn't stay because you weren't rooted enough to hold them. God says, this time will not be the same if you choose differently. And those words feel like warm oil poured over your heart. You realize heaven is not warning you of destruction, it is inviting you into destiny. It is saying, rise, decide, step forward, don't shrink again. Beloved, this is your turning point. This is the moment when cycles break, when clarity floods in, when the fog lifts. And as you breathe you feel that this message is not here to scare you, it's here to realign you. Archangel Michael says, take this step with faith. I have already cleared the shadows. I have already weakened the barriers. I have already fought the battles you never saw. And suddenly you feel supported. You feel held. You feel enveloped by something greater than you. Hear this deeply. The next 7 minutes of your focus, your openness, your willingness, these 7 minutes will shift the posture of your spirit. Not with fear but with clarity. Not with danger but with direction. Not with threat but with transformation. This is the moment where heaven leans close. This is the moment where your future begins to breathe. This is the moment where your spirit says, I cannot stay the same. Beloved, choose the path that leads you forward. Choose the doorway that aligns with who you were always meant to be. Choose the whisper that has followed you for years finally rising into a shout so you cannot miss it. Your life is shifting. Your spirit is awakening. Your story is turning. And heaven is still speaking. Beloved, the test is simple yet profound. Will you open your heart fully and step into the current of divine favor, or will you hesitate caught in the echoes of past disappointments? Every moment of your life has led to this precise point. Every tear, every struggle, every night you thought you were alone, God has been orchestrating this, arranging your steps with eternal precision. Archangel Michael has carried your name through battles unseen, he has shielded you when dangers crept into the corners of your life, and now he stands with sword drawn, not to fight for you but to fight through you if you will agree to let your spirit rise. You feel the vibration in your chest because your soul already knows. You were meant to receive this. Take a breath and feel the weight of these words. Heaven does not repeat itself without reason. Every repetition, every urging is a signal that the stakes are higher than you imagine. This is not about small decisions. This is about unlocking doors that have been closed for too long. Opportunities delayed, relationships strained, finances held back, these were never permanent. They were the pauses, the preparation, the sharpening of your faith. And now God says, the pause is over. The blessing waits, the favor is ready, the breakthrough is aligned, but you must step in. Your obedience, your willingness to move forward in faith is the key that turns what has been on hold into what is now unstoppable. Do not underestimate the power of your yes. One word, one act of opening your heart fully, one decision to align with heaven's timing can unravel years of delay and activate the flow of blessings like a river breaking through a dam. This is not imagination. This is destiny in motion. Archangel Michael is not speaking in idle tones. His urgency is the sound of victory approaching. He sees the chains weakening, the walls shaking and the shadows retreating. But he cannot act without your cooperation. Your faith, your acknowledgement, your step toward what God has prepared is what allows heaven to move fully on your behalf. Beloved, I want you to feel this deeply. This is why your spirit has been restless, why your heart cannot find rest until you respond. All the signs, all the whispers, all the dreams that seemed like coincidence, this is the culmination. This is the harvest. God has brought you to the edge of a new season. The blessings you have prayed for are not theoretical, they are real and waiting. But the doorway is narrow. The timing is critical. And heaven waits for your agreement to release what has been prepared. The choice is yours and it is profound. You may feel hesitation, fear or doubt, but do not let them hold you back. Those feelings are the enemy's last attempt to sway you from receiving what belongs to you. Feel the shift within you now. There is a stirring in your chest, a pull toward obedience, a sense of urgency that cannot be ignored. That is your spirit recognizing the voice of heaven. That is the alignment of destiny calling you forward. Michael says, do not delay. Step into the blessing. Receive what has been prepared. You are not too late. Your hands, your heart, your life are the instruments that God is asking to open now. He does not withhold because you are unworthy. He waits because timing matters. And this, beloved, is the time. Consider the cycles that have repeated in your life. Opportunities that almost appeared, moments of favor that slipped away, relationships that faltered just as they seemed to thrive. None of that was in vain. It was the preparation, the training of your faith, the testing of your endurance. And now the cycle breaks. The new season cannot enter unless you step fully into the present. The power is not outside of you, it flows through you. Every prayer you have spoken, every hope you have held, every silent plea you whispered into the night has aligned this moment. You were designed for this breakthrough. Beloved, do not underestimate the intensity of this call. Your breakthrough is not casual, it is profound. It will touch not only your life but the lives around you. Your obedience will set in motion blessings for those who have prayed alongside you, for those connected by your family line, for those you will inspire through your testimony. The enemy is trembling because he knows the impact of your rise. He has tried to hold you back at every step, but Michael is fighting in the spiritual realm with power unmatched. All that remains is your alignment, your yes, your opening of the heart to what God is releasing. Now feel it. The pull, the urgency, the insistence, it is heaven urging you forward. The chains of past limitations are already cracking. Doors that seemed permanently closed are vibrating with anticipation. Favors that were delayed are standing at your threshold. Opportunities are aligning that you once thought were lost. But all this depends on your response. Step fully into what is being offered. Receive without doubt, believe without reservation, obey without delay. Your life is poised at the threshold of transformation. Beloved child, as you read these words, know that heaven is leaning closer, that the Spirit of God is pressing on your heart. This is your moment. This is the point where your prayers, your endurance, your faith converge into a turning point of destiny. The blessings are ready. The favor is aligned. The breakthrough is imminent. And all that remains is your agreement to move in faith. The choice is yours. Will you step forward fully, or will you hesitate, letting the current of blessing pass by? The call is clear. The window is open. Heaven is waiting. Do not delay, do not doubt, do not look back. Beloved, before you take your next breath, listen, because this is where the turning point sharpens. The enemy fought you hardest in seasons where you felt the weakest, not because you were failing but because you were nearing the moment heaven marked for your rise. And now that moment stands in front of you like a door trembling from the weight of what's behind it. But a door, no matter how blessed, cannot open without your hand on the handle. Feel this truth, your spirit is responding because heaven is calling your name louder than ever before. That pressure on your chest, that heat running through your body, that sudden clarity in your thoughts, it's not fear, it's recognition. Your soul knows something sacred is unfolding. God says, do not turn away, for what waits beyond this obedience is what generations before you prayed you would reach. Beloved, imagine this clearly, your future is standing at the threshold waiting for you to say yes. Not tomorrow, not someday, but now. Every delay in your life has been a battle. Every setback was an ambush. Every heartbreak was a strategy to disconnect you from this very moment. And heaven is refusing to let your story end in defeat. That's why the warnings have grown louder. That's why the presence feels heavier. That's why your heart refuses to let you scroll away. And now Archangel Michael speaks again, but his voice trembles with urgency. Beloved, the darkness that hunted you is terrified because you are seconds away from stepping into authority. Do not waste what heaven preserved. His message is sharp, not to scare you but to shake you awake. He has seen what's ahead. He has seen the victory written over your name. But he also sees the danger if you walk away now. My child, this is where you must choose alignment over hesitation. For too long your destiny has waited behind barriers you didn't build and battles you didn't start. But today those barriers weaken. Today those battles reverse. Today heaven stretches its hand toward you one last time. God says, the window is open but it will not remain open forever. Beloved, think of the weight of that. Windows of destiny do not stay open indefinitely. Seasons shift. Doors close. Opportunities expire. But heaven in its mercy has paused time for you right now, just to give you one more chance to step into what belongs to you. So ask yourself with honesty, will you rise or will you repeat the past? Will you step forward or will you return to the same cycles that drained you? The blessing cannot force itself upon you. Heaven cannot invade a heart that refuses to open. This is the hour where your yes becomes your weapon. Beloved child, stay, listen, respond. Because if you lean into this moment, if you align with this calling, everything that once opposed you will crumble. Joy will return where sorrow lived. Strength will rise where fear ruled. And the life you almost gave up on will finally begin to bloom.